Hi, it's Jane. I'm here in Bend again. So good to be back and home. We've got our little grandson staying with us, and it's extremely enjoyable and lots of fun. So you may know that that I do the Understanding Intimacy column for the Source Weekly, and also I write for Reddit in the Ask Me Anything on Reddit. And recently I got this question from someone there about his girlfriend who has gained weight. And I thought I'd talk with you about that here now, because this is the kind of question I get a lot in my personal work with clients in groups or in one-on-one work. So oftentimes people will come to me with questions about grooming issues. They might say something like, my partner won't get a haircut, he won't shave, I'm upset because my partner doesn't take a shower and often enough for me. I don't want to have sex, have intimacy with that person when they're not clean, or I don't know how to tell him that I want him to cut his hair or don't want him to cut his hair. There are so many things related to this. Maybe it's a woman who wears too much makeup or something happening about us that is kind of temporary, honestly. So something that you can change quickly. So if I'm somebody who has, like I don't care, long hair, don't care, and I'm a dude and my partner really wants me to have shorter hair, and she would find that really more attractive if I cut my hair, then I might say, yeah, tell that person that you would like it makes you feel, more attracted if he has shorter hair, or that you wish he'd get a haircut because you find it hot when he has short hair, something like that. It doesn't define him for most people. Now, if it does define him, he might say, listen, I like my hair like this, and you'd either take it or leave it. And that has happened before in my practice where somebody said, I don't, you should love me for who I am, which I agree with. You love me for who I am. I grew my hair out. You don't like it, then, that's my business. I have sovereignty over my hair. I don't want to cut my hair, or I don't want to shave, or you are too demanding about what I want in these different ways, right? Excuse me. So that's one thing when we have these issues of grooming that people come up with, that we have with the partner. And I think it's really helpful for us to stay present in our grooming when we're relating to another person. We can lose track of that. And when we lose track of our grooming and then we're disappointed that our partner isn't attracted to us, if we put effort into things we care about. So if you care about being attractive to your partner, even if you've been married for a long time, and you get yourself cleaned up and you do, whatever it is that you think it's going to make that person find you sexy, or find you attractive, or just feel good about you, and they do the same for you, then that's a really nice way to respect each other. Now, the question, though, wasn't about that kind of thing. The question was about weight and overeating, and primarily weight gain. So this guy, who's identified as a guy, said that his girlfriend had gained weight, and as a result of that, he wasn't turned on to her. He didn't know what to do about that. He wanted to know if he should let her know that he didn't want to have sex with her because she was overweight. He didn't want her to feel like he was calling her fat. To me, the issue of weight falls into a different category, and let me tell you why that is. In the area of weight in our culture, when you communicate with your partner about weight gain, you are entering a whole different realm than you would be if you were talking about a haircut, brushing teeth, shaving, shaving your legs, even any kind of the things that you could do relatively easily. And things like haircut, weight, shaving your legs, all that stuff, maybe trimming your nails, those things don't hit your partner in that place of huge shame because of our culture's response to fat. So there's this whole thing in our culture, and I know this very well because I was raised by somebody who was a self-avowed fattest. She felt that fatness was kind of immoral, that if you were overweight, that it was like a moral issue that you were kind of being a bad person. Oh, really difficult, because it was easy for somebody like me. I'll speak for myself. I don't have a tendency to put on weight. It's not because I'm a moral person. It's because I have a certain metabolism. I have a high metabolism, even as an, postmenopausal person. I don't tend to put on weight. It's not that hard for me not to put on weight. So I just don't do it. It isn't, my body doesn't do that easily. It takes a lot of effort for me to put on weight. Now, for some people, that's not true. Some people can gain weight just almost by just thinking about mixed nuts. They just, boom, put on a ton of weight. And so we live in different bodies. And in our culture, being thin is like considered so-called good. And people who are not overweight don't, they get all sorts of benefits that people who are overweight don't get. It's almost like this part of our culture where we are allowed to demean people because of their bodies and not feel bad about ourselves. I like this book, You Have the Right to Remain Fat by Virgie Tovar. I don't know if you can see that. And it's a manifesto about the diet culture and how much shaming is constantly put onto people who are overweight by the so-called standards that we have in our culture. So if I were talking to this guy who responded to my AMA on Reddit about this right now, if he were sitting here in my office, what I'd say is for him to do his own work about weight and fatness, because he's holding the cultural norm or the cultural standard that is a very negative, shame-based, guilt-oriented, anti-fat standard. He's holding that when he talks about his girlfriend. He's holding that weight and weight gain, fatness is inherently bad, and that she should take off the weight or diet to be less of herself, to have less. Now, I don't know what this woman's body is about. I don't know anything about their history together. I don't know, anything about her relationship with her body. All I know is that he's reporting that he's not turned on to her because she's fat or has gained weight. I don't know how much that is. I don't know if her weight is actually causing her difficulty with mobility or any other things. I don't have any way of knowing that. But I do know that it's a very tender topic. And if I'm talking to him, so let's say I'm talking to, maybe it's you. I don't know who you are. I don't know who that person was. Maybe it's you. So if I'm talking to you about this and you ask me this question on Reddit, what I would say is this: think about lifestyle rather than weight. So if you're like, what is your lifestyle like with her? So are you physically engaged? Are you doing stuff? Are you spending time? I'm like a huge walker. I'm totally into walking these days, but I live in a place where it's easy to walk. It's another piece of privilege for me. I live in an area where there's all sorts of sidewalks, where there are places to go everywhere, and I can walk for hours and not get bored. So for me, it's easy to say that, getting out to walk is a good thing. I do think it's good for us, though, because of the right-leftness of it. So it's got that bilaterality, and it allows us to process feelings and emotions and think, communicate. So I like walking for couples. I think walking as couples, if the climate works for you. I was just at Ray and Steph's out east in DC, and it's incredibly sweaty and, kind of a lot of humid weather out there. So it's a lot harder to walk. Plus they live in a hilly area, so lots harder. But here in Bend, it's dry weather, it's flat. I can walk for, practically a week straight. Forrest Gump kind of walking. I could walk and walk and walk. It doesn't ever bother me. So if you're in a place where you could walk, walking is fantastic. Any kind of physicalness, because that is where we live, right? If we live in physical fluidity, it's going to feel, we're going to be fed. And you and your girlfriend will be fed by the movement that you have together, not because you're trying to use it to take off weight, because in truth, that doesn't work. It's not true that exercise takes off weight. What takes off weight is other stuff, but it's not exercise. Reason we use exercise is just for the physical pleasure of movement. And so I would love who she is. I would work on your lifestyle. Excuse me. Make sure that you are moving as a couple, that you are getting out and doing stuff, not in a shamey way, like, oh, you got to go out and go for a walk because, we can read through you just like that. If you are bringing kind of a, hey, baby, let's, why don't we go take a walk subtext because you're fat, that's not going to make her feel anything but terrible. So it's got to come from her. If she wants to change the way she is in her body, that's going to be her journey. You can't change that. You want her to brush her teeth or comb her hair differently, that's something you can negotiate with. But the way she is in her physical body, to me, that is not for you to decide. That is for her to decide. But your job is to decide for yourself. So you're taking care of yourself. You are going to, what I'd recommend for you is that you just, do you and take care of yourself and how you feel. And maybe that means that, if it's a deal breaker that she's overweight and you've done your work on this, you've thought about how diet culture and anti-fat messages in our culture are so toxic and negative, and what that might mean for a person if they are in a relationship where there's this anti-fat messaging going on. Honestly, I've been fat shamed before, and I have not been fat. But I remember when I was with somebody way before I got married to Jim, and he was fat shaming me, and I was like, small, like what in the world? Like, why do people do that? So have you done your work about fat shaming? Have you done your releasing around that, realizing it's her body, not your body, recognizing all that? If it's still a deal breaker for you, then that's something you have to think about. But she is more than her weight. She is a woman who's deserving of love. If you love her and she's overweight, that's probably, your love is the best antidote to the diet culture, the shaming diet culture, allowing her to feel who she is, and that even if she's a little plumpier than she was when you first met her, or if you think she's a little plumpy, loving her is what you can do best for her, because it's a gift to her if you do that. And if it's not okay with you that she's a little overweight, or if she's a lot overweight, then that's for you to think about. But it's not for you to decide whether or not she goes on a so-called diet or loses weight, because that's a personal choice for her. It's not for you. Any questions, thoughts, questions, concerns? Let me know what you think about this. And I know it's a challenging thing. With this book, if you're interested, You Have the Right to Remain Fat by Virgie Tovar, Virgietovar. I'll put a link to it in the comments. Look forward to hearing from y'all. Bye-bye.